Hey guys, I'm enjoying Southern California again, hanging out with the folks from BULLS, near Redondo Beach actually, in this really great open space. There's some access roads and things, and I just hiked my way down to this beautiful spot so I could check out this new one from BULLS. This is the E-Stream EVO 2 FS 27.5 Plus. It's a mouthful, right? I actually reviewed the 3, and this is the 2, and so it's a little bit more affordable, $4,099. That one was like $46.99. So for that $600, you're stepping down a little bit in terms of suspension. This has SR Sun Tour. It's got 120 millimeters of travel instead of 150, so it's more of a cross-country bike. The tires are a little bit of a downgrade, and they're plus size, but it's 2.6 versus 2.8 or 3.0 on some of the other plus size electric bikes. So it's a pretty sweet package in my opinion. I mean, I'm really enjoying the way that BULLS is integrating their battery pack. You can see it right here, really tight. It just blends right in, especially with this matte black coloring. These bolts can be removed, and so you can actually fit maybe an accessory or a bottle cage. The suspension on this one is more horizontal than vertical, so again, that's a little bit more of a cross-country setup. And there's one fewer gears. So we've got the Shimano Dior XT Shadow Plus, and that's got the one-way clutch right here, so you can kind of tighten it up, maybe not have as much chain slap going on, but it changes the shifting profile a little bit. So those are things to keep in mind, and that's why you might want to choose this bike over one of the others in the BULLS lineup. It uses the Bros motor, or Broza, and that's also really tightly integrated. You can see both the battery and the motor have this like padded kind of a slap guard thing, and it keeps the rocks from nicking the plastic. I really like that. I love the way it's all set up visually. In terms of balance, it's also a great choice, and it seems pretty durable. One area that I've complained about in the past is that, it seems like sometimes you have to press this power button here as well as the display. I think they've changed it now, so it's just you only ever have to mess with the display. Saves you a little bit of time and maybe frustration or confusion, asking yourself, is the battery full? Like, what's going on? What's the deal? The charging port is another area that I've called out. I was like, this rubber flap just doesn't stay seated. It's still a little bit finicky. You kind of have to like shove the top part in and then click the bottom. But this one's a little bit better. And also, this is like a brand new bike. Like it's just came out of the packaging. I've been riding around a little bit. So maybe this hasn't warped as much or softened up, but that's an area they told me that they were trying to address. Also, if you look at the key slot here for the locking core, that's what locks the battery in. It's still a little bit vulnerable to this pedal if you're leaning this against the wall and then you somehow kick the pedal and it bumps into the keys, but you don't have to leave them in when riding or anything. And I guess there are only so many options for where to put that. I like that the battery does stay locked in. I also like that the charging port, it's this magnetic EnergyBus, so if you trip over that, it's not going to tip the bike over, although there's no kickstand. It does have a kickstand mounting point. I just found this Heineken bottle and used that with these Wellgo cage-style platform pedals. It's doing okay. Hopefully we don't see this thing tumble down. But there's that flap I was talking about. Okay, see how it doesn't naturally seat down? Kind of have to angle the top part in and then angle the bottom part, and see how it's still not staying down. You gotta just mess with it a little bit to get it fully seated. I don't think it needs to be that complicated to get a little rubber flap working. Thankfully, the rest of the bike seems really well engineered and just beautiful and tough and fairly lightweight. I mean, this one weighs a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure why. I believe there's air suspension that we're working with here. So that should be kind of the same. But this one's like 55.1 pounds or something. The other one that I looked at was 53. So maybe it's just the hardware or something. I think that one was using Magura, whereas this is Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. We got 2-finger levers, adjustable reach, 180 millimeter rotors, front and rear, beautiful. Also quick release, and we're using boost here, so it's like slightly larger axle widths, and that's going to give you a little bit more strength, given that these are the larger, kind of wider tires. It's a little bit more stiff, a little bit more rugged, and the through axles also help with that. We've got remote lockout for the suspension fork. I like that. One area I'd consider upgrading, or that it'd be nice to see, is a remote dropper for that seat post. But given this is a cross-country bike and not like an all-around or like a downhill bike, maybe that's less important. I just noticed that occasionally, because of where I'm riding, I mean, there are these moments where I'm like, oh, I would drop the seat, or I'm kind of noticing it's like it's hitting me on my bottom, just because of how I'm riding. But I want it high so that I can spin and I can get full leg extension. So I'm getting spoiled, right? Like I've tried all these other bikes. This is 30.9 millimeter on that seat post if you wanted to swap that out. Yeah, we got a bunch of different clickers here for rebound and lockout on that. And then down here, we've got rebound adjust. So fairly adjustable suspension. Nice overall setup. 2 sizes on this. I'm on kind of the medium, 46 centimeter. I've done standover height and, you know, some other measurements just for this model because I don't have the other one with me. And, you know, Bulls is a bigger company. They actually have their own charts and everything. So my goal is just to give you kind of an up close and to sample some of the different touch points, including these nice fellow grips. They're ergonomic and they're locking, and the set screw is underneath. So it's kind of plastic at the end. It doesn't have the metal rings, but maybe that gives you more rubber surface area to grab onto. And the cockpit's fairly clean because they have this nice transflective like button pad / display with a little micro USB port. And I'm told that that's 6 volts. I haven't actually used it and tried it, but love how they squeeze that on there so you could use your phone for Strava, or you could have an MP3 player, or just any number of devices. Being a mountain bike, there's no lights or anything integrated, but that's another area you could tap into. Battery packs on these are really quite large. You get great capacity. I believe it's 37 volts, 17.5 amp hours. You know, you can really go a long way depending on the level of assist you're using and how you shift. So the Brose motor system, even though it's rated at 250 watts, it offers quite a lot of torque when you're pedaling. The one area to be sensitive around is shifting gears, because, you know, it's using this like a drivetrain. It's pulling the same chain you are, and it doesn't have a shift sensing mechanism in there. It just has torque sensing for how you're pedaling. It's actually measuring the rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, and pedal torque. So when you ease off a little bit, so does it. And that allows you to shift without, you know, bending your derailleur or kind of scraping up your rear sprockets or your chain. You know, I do know people who have had even Bosch, which does have some shift sensing, and they've had to replace their drivetrain components a little bit more frequently. And again, this is a higher end one, and it does have that clutch. So if you're just going around town and maybe using this for fun and not quite as, you know, tough on it, then you can turn that off, and the shifting feels a little bit smoother. Yeah, so lots of good stuff. Also, back to the battery, you have to kind of unlock it, and then there's this, see this lever? You have to slide it up a little bit, and then the battery comes down, and you have to kind of pull on it, but you're pulling, gravity's pulling with you, and thankfully it kind of stops on your tire there, but just be careful. This is one that doesn't have like as much of a handle, and it's not quite as, I don't think it's as easy to get at as ones that slide out from the side or pop up, but it does look a lot nicer. So it's a trade-off. I mean, it's a quiet electric bike too. It's one that, you know, you can ride around and blend in and people don't really even know. I do like the colors. I think they did a great job matching. You can see that it's color matched all the way across, even though this is just a sticker right here. You got some stickers on the rims and stuff. It's nice. Even the rails on the saddle. This is Selle Royale. Kind of an active design. It reminds me of some of the other Bulls saddle choices. Yeah, so good stuff. Maybe I'll jump in and talk to you a little bit about how this display works. So like I said before, you only have to press the power button on top right there. Very simple display. You've got plus and minus triangles, and as you arrow up, you see that tiny little box? It's at 0 right now, so you're getting no assist. You press it once and it fills in, so that's level 1. On level 2, you get a little bit more, and then level 3. That's it. 3 levels. And that's great. Speed in the middle, battery level indicator, 5 bars. Not super precise. You know, I prefer to have a percentage or something, but they're working with limited real estate on that thing. And then that's it. We've got light on the side. I think it kind of changes backlighting on it a little bit, or if you had lights wired in. And then we've got walk mode, and walk mode does actually work. You have to be in one of the 3 levels of pedal assist for it to work, and then you have to hold it down. So if you were trying to push this thing up, again, 55 pounds, up a steep section of trail that you weren't able to ride up, it's nice to have that feature, and I'm not sure it was always working. Some of the first electric bikes to come in from Europe and other places had that disabled, and now more of them are starting to activate that. So yeah, I really appreciate that. It's a nice upgrade, and again, just that USB port, it's really clean. A lot to appreciate on this bike. So I'm going to push it up. We'll leave our beer bottle friend here for the next review maybe, and we'll give it a little ride test. There we go. Walk mode is activated right now. You'll notice how slow it's going. That's because I think I'm in like a lower gear, so I need to switch. Whoa, there it goes. It's taking off for a second. Come on, there it comes. Cool. It's like the first time I've done this. It's actually coming in handy, but you do have to hold it down. Okay, I'm just gonna hop on and see how it does. Pretty responsive, easy to get going. Oh boy. Kind of on the edge of a cliff section here, so I might switch to frame mounted cameras and just do a little bit of riding. Okay, so we're gonna start out on the flats here, so you can see and hear without a lot of bouncing around. I think I'm gonna go ahead and enable that one-way clutch on the Shadow Plus in the rear, so it should be a little bit tighter. It's one of the few electric bikes I've seen, mountain bikes, that has 2 sprockets up front, 2 derailleurs. Might shift through that, just a bunch of different terrain. Nice. Brakes are working pretty well. I like the levers on hydraulic disc brakes. A lot of times they have adjustable reach. It's nice to be able to squeeze those without reaching too far. Anyway, shifting through, I was able to hit 20 miles per hour, and I really noticed it, drop back. I was like, whoa, once I hit 20, I really felt the motor fade out, which is a testament to how much power it does offer. It's pretty impressive, but also how quiet it is. Like, I wasn't hearing it a whole lot, and I wasn't spinning at higher RPM. That's when it really starts to pick up, but it performed well. Handling those rocks pretty well. I didn't hit perfectly, and one of the advantages of the plus size tire is to reduce deflection, so it actually grips pretty well. You can just go over stuff. Again though, 120 millimeters of travel versus 150, so I am feeling it a little bit more than on the 3. Now we're going to go back up and you'll hear me pedaling. That's fun. Pretty consistently 10, 15 miles per hour, and a lot of the speed was based more on my balance and steering around the weeds and stuff than what this bike's capable of. Pretty cool. Well, there we go, guys. Hope you've had fun. This is a pretty sweet bike. That's the E-Stream EVO 2 FS Plus from BULLS. Nice that they're refining some of these systems, but really just offering a new geometry and really a new focus. For the full write-up on this, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And of course, have fun, ride safe.